Live from the Pathway Studios in Johnston proper, you are Live from the Path.
And you're listening to Live from the Path. We're going from the Pathway Studios here in Johnston proper.
Pretty quiet in here, Ben.
What do you mean?
I don't know. The whole vibe of the room is low.
Should we do some
tone down?
Maybe we should. We could fake the atmosphere.
What do you mean?
You know what I'm talking about? Like get some.
Crowd noise?
Yeah. Dan's got it. We get some crowd noise in here.
It's a phony crowd noise. I like people are cheering when the thing fires up.
Yeah. Yeah. Broadcast in front of a fake studio audience.
We should have we ever broadcast in front of a live studio audience?
Where times back behind the window back in the day.
Oh yeah. Remember we had an anniversary. It's the most pathetic. Remember we did that 2nd year anniversary show, and there were like lights and pizza and stuff, and like I mean the Joneses came, Tony came.
I think a couple people showed up.
And Boova was just out there sitting under the lights. I mean, there's a picture of him looking real
before
pathetic.
Boova actually joined the show? The one he just stopping by every once in a while?
Yeah. Anyway, so okay, and then we did. We did a talk at the Spirit Midwest Music Festival that one time. We did like an hour.
That was actually kind of fun.
Yeah, it was like a Q&A.
Yeah,
People asking us questions.
It's funny we've never been invited back to do a thing like that again.
Actually, they canceled the festival.
We closed it down.
the whole festival was put the nix to.
We scored our KTIA gig off of that.
That was shameless. It was absolutely shameless. Wow.
Anyway, yeah, that was the deal.
The show's been sharp decline for years.
Yeah. Hey, I looked today. We are just shy of like 50,000. It's like a little less than 50,000 views to hit 1 million on the YouTube.
Are we still posting these? Like I was gonna post last week's show and I couldn't find it.
No, yeah, I so here's what happens is we broadcast late, and right,
Yeah.
so I hit the upload button and then I leave because it takes like 2 hours to upload, and I checked it like every day for 3 days and it would never showed up, and I came in today and it had been aborted.
Oh,
and so I think it must have just timed out or something.
I mean, I got it on the podcast.
Yeah, well, because I could I posted the audio before I left because the audio it takes super quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought the same thing. There was a particular there was a clips of last week's show that I thought would be helpful.
yeah.
And no,
No.
it's a decent
So it wasn't
show.
just me. I don't feel so bad then.
No, it wasn't personal, Dan.
No, I mean, sometimes like, well, I should know what's going on. It's like, I have no clue. I don't even know where we do stuff.
You know, it's about time. We should probably go back and phone interview some of the people that used to host the show, right? Like, I hadn't talked to Zach forever.
Yeah.
Or Dave Herrick.
Yeah.
Or Boova, for that matter.
I'm supposed to call him back.
I mean, we're 3 dudes down. I mean, we used to have dudes come in. Nathaniel used to stop by every once in a while, and Nick Harris used to stop by.
He was talking Sunday. He goes, "Didn't you just come out here?" I said, "Yes, you do."
Yes,
And that's as far as it went, evidently.
that sounds right.
You know what? I'm gonna just declare it right now. We're open casting. So, you know what I mean? If you ain't busy on a Monday and you can carry half a conversation in a bucket, you should just stop out here.
Yeah. We've replaced everybody with a wooden statue of a priest. It's time to up the game
Not
around
very
here, boys.
talkative.
All right, you're listening Live from the Path. Here's what got going on the show tonight. So I was looking through for articles to talk about on the show, and I mean, we're struggling here, fellas. We're struggling because we've been doing the show for so long, and frankly, we're not that good at it. And so, like, there's some guys that can sustain long conversations on one topic. And every once in a while, we'll go off on a tangent. But for the most part, like, if we read a news article, there's like a quick dissection, reaction to it, and then we kind of move on.
We kind of bore ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're done.
Yeah.
That's it.
Good.
Or else we're really good, and we just settle it.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Like, it's just so precise. There's not a lot of ambiguity left in the world. And so anyway, so I was looking for an article, and as I'm reading through these, I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, pretty simple to die. Like, nothing, I don't have anything to talk about with this. I'm not outraged. I'm not surprised. Like, there's kind of a clear direction as to how you should react to it. And it's like, well, okay, well, that's not all that interesting. So I just had a hardest time finding something to talk about. So what we're going to do then is I'm going to pull up a website of which I get some news articles for, and we're gonna roll through like 5 of them, and everybody gets like no more than a sentence to respond to it, and then we're moving on. We're gonna codify this thing.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna nail all the top press of the day.
Yeah, it's a Live from the Pet Digest. We're gonna hit five or so quick stories, get your quick reaction, then we're gonna move on. And then we've got some. We do have some secular versus Solomon though.
That's good. I'll have to scoot out of the way of the answers, but I'm excellent at that game.
Yeah, you can't sit back there. You cheat.
All right.
All right. So we'll do some secular Solomon. We'll see. It's been a while. We'll see if you guys are up on your game, and we got some advice on Dear Life in the Path.
Right on.
Mike, do we have any previews on that stuff or no?
Yeah, the first one coming up is about a guy who's dating a girlfriend who's been hitting the gym, and then she keeps defeating him arm wrestling in public. And now he feels like a real shamu and can't seem to. And he's like, every time she wants something, she flexes or whatever and gives him the business.
Wow.
Okay, I like this one.
Yeah, it's pretty excellent.
Okay. Let's see. I thought there was something about last week's show.
It's worth. Here's the thing: is like that show is worth going back and listening to. It addresses a lot of things. It's a lot of the ambiguity that like someone who's new to Christianity doesn't quite understand, right? Like how much are they to be interacting? Like when people say you should be praying without ceasing, and people are like, I'm not doing that, and feel terrible for years about their walk with Christ, like they just can't seem to give everything over like everybody else, and how much. What they can expect for God's reaction and interaction in their life and to what degree and whatever. And like it's a very good conversation in that way about being comfortable with the way that God interacts within your world and how much you can expect him to interact within his own. And it's helpful because we usually sidestep or give like a glittery, flowery answer on how much God is going to do things in a certain way. And sometimes it ends up ruining people for years. They're like, I'm terrible at this. I'm obviously not a follower of Christ because he doesn't do XXX and whatever, And so like it's a pretty good discussion for stuff in that realm. And actually, frankly, if you listen to it and disagree, I'd love to talk to you because I'm sure I have room to move in either way, But it turned out to be a really good discussion.
All right, here we go. Quick articles. Okay. Number 1. Is biblical truth no different than the Yanni versus Laurel debate?
Jeez.
Mike.
Really? This is... wait a minute. You're not even going to read any of the article?
No. You get the... That's it.
Okay. Is biblical truth... what was it?
Is biblical truth no different than the Yanni versus Laurel debate?
Yes, it's different.
Dan?
Yeah, very different. Because truth is truth. It doesn't change. It's not... You can't interpret truth differently. It's just what it is.
Dan violated the one principle.
Dan, we laid out the rules.
I just kept going. I forgot. I got so excited. I heard Yanni.
Yes, it's different. Okay, next. Royal wedding and Episcopal love. Mike.
Agree. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dan.
And Episcopal love?
Yeah.
Are they talking about the preacher?
Yeah, I think so.
I heard it was good, but I haven't bothered to listen.
I don't even know what the word Episcopal means.
Well, it's a denomination, or it could be a... Yeah. I mean,
What is an Episcopalian?
Hold on. What does Episcopal
it's
mean?
really close to Catholic, but
A bishop of a bishop or bishops.
Bishop love.
Of a church governed by bishops.
Oh. It's just a church government structure?
Yeah.
Royal wedding.
Actually, I mean, that makes sense. Methodists have methods, following methods of doing something.
Yeah, I'm sick with my original answer. Yes.
I saw mixed reactions to the sermon. I saw a lot of people on Facebook, people of faith, pastors as well, who were like, hey, this was a really good sermon. And then I started running into my Reformed fellas and some ultra-conservative folks, and they were pissed.
Really?
They were pretty unhappy.
Did you
with
listen to the sermon at all?
No, I didn't look at it.
I didn't actually know a wedding was happening. I didn't get all the jokes on Facebook. I thought people were just making, and then people kept posting like this weird Thomas Jefferson with an eagle on his shoulder, and he's like, I don't care about royal weddings since this date, and blah blah blah. And there was like fire and an American flag and an old TJ with with an eagle flying. I'm like, what the heck happened over there? I don't understand. Did the Queen get divorced? Is she even married? I have no idea.
Divorced.
I'm not down with the times at all.
All right. Anyway, okay, that's the answer to that one. Here we go. The misleading language of the social justice movement.
I agree.
Dan.
Yes, misleading.
Good. Next. Jimmy Carter condemns sex-selective abortion, killing at birth of 160 million girls in Liberty U address. Good.
Pro.
He's a liar.
Good. Moving on. Let's see. Beyonce buys $850,000 church in New Orleans weeks after controversial Beyonce mass.
What?
I had no idea such a thing went on.
Now, you don't find this even half interesting?
Okay,
Ben?
hold on. We'll pull it up. We'll check it out. Pop star Beyonce Knowles Carter has reportedly bought her own church building in New Orleans.
Wait a minute, isn't she married to Jay-Z?
Yeah,
Her last name's not Z?
his last name is Carter.
Okay, moving on.
Bought her own church building in New Orleans weeks following a controversial mass held in her honor at an Episcopal cathedral in San Francisco.
There you go.
These bishops aren't doing their
There's
job,
the
Mike.
love.
I mean, the church is solely defined on there being bishops who are handling things, and obviously things are falling through the cracks.
Yeah.
TMZ first reported the purchase on Sunday, reporting that Knowles Carter has bought a 7,500 square foot house of worship that was listed at a $850,000 price.
That seems pretty
Wait,
cheap.
how many square feet?
7,500.
That's pretty small.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
I mean,
Well,
this is 12,000 where we're in.
yeah.
Oh. Well, I mean, $850K for 7,500 square feet. That seems pretty reasonable, doesn't it?
In San Francisco.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's not big.
Yeah, it's not a
just
giant church,
small.
yeah. The building, which was constructed in the early 1900s, had not been used for services for some time, as its previous church membership had passed away.
All of them? Crap,
rough-
Greg
rough
died. We're
Sunday.
done.
Communion was a little sour.
Boy.
Who's there to even lock the door after the last guy passed on?
Actually, it makes you feels like a Heaven's Gate type of operation at the Episcopalian Church.
Huh.
There was this comment.
Maybe they put the stuff in the communion, and that's what did it. All right, here we go. New Orleans-based The Times-Picayune reported that a deal to purchase the property on Camp Street was made on May 11th. Did they send a guy to cover San Francisco? What does the New Orleans paper care?
I don't know.
Hold on. Orleans Parish records show that the Noble Jones Trust purchased the property with the deal signed by Vernell Jackson Keyes, who is a close friend of the Knowles family. It is not yet known what the newly purchased church will be used for, though it would require extensive renovation in order to be made into a home.
I mean, was it trespassing if they had a mass there and it's closed and everybody's dead?
Yeah, get to that part, Ben.
Okay,
confused
just
about that.
weeks earlier in April, as many as 900 people turned up for a special mass celebrating Knowles Carter's music, where the pastors connected her lyrics to biblical themes.
Whoa, 900 people in a 7,500 square foot church?
Uh,
That's 3 of my houses. I'm
this-
trying to put 900 people in my house.
Yeah, I don't know. This sounds flaky, Ben.
The fire department should have shut them down.
hold on a minute. I don't think this happened in that church building.
Oh,
Hold on. Beyonce Mass. Oh, yeah. Beyonce Mass at San Francisco Church draws 900 worshipers. Offers womanist biblical interpretation. Womanist.
Okay, so it is up for interpretation. Yeah, they agreed with the article
Wait,
from
this
before.
is... okay, hold on a minute. Hold on. Now I'm having trouble straightening this out. A controversial mass based around the music and messages of pop icon Beyonce Knowles Carter drew as many as 900 people to an Episcopal cathedral in San Francisco last week, up from around the 50 who usually attend weekday services.
so it's still going. So okay. If it's a Beyonce mass? What's your music? What's your theme? How do you? I don't know enough of her songs. Like put a ring on it. I mean, we're gonna do the Bride of Christ.
I don't know that one, Dan.
and-
Sing a couple bars. Yeah, okay, I got it now. Thank you.
We should do a Name That Tune, Dan edition.
Ben,
That'd be awful.
this is why you can't skip articles, Ben. There's all kinds of gold in here, and you've been passing it up based on the headline.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Here we go. The Reverend Yolanda Norton, a San Francisco Theological Seminary assistant professor who specializes in the Old Testament, told the San Francisco Chronicle last week that the service held at Grace Cathedral on Wednesday, and that's not the same church,
No.
was inspired from a desire to explore female-centric interpretations of the Bible. When we talk about womanist biblical interpretation, Beyonce felt like a natural fit. If we look at the trajectory of her person and her relationships, we can see so many issues black women face and how it can affect how we interpret the text. The Reverend Jude Harmon of Grace Cathedral explained that the Mass was part of a 3-part series on grace titled Speaking Truth, The Power of Story and Community, which seeks to focus on marginalized elements in the Christian community, such as women and people of color. Harmon admitted that there has been controversy surrounding the Mass, revealing that although the majority of responses from members have been overwhelmingly positive, Other people have made their objections known through phone calls, email, and social media.
Yeah, that's how they do it, Ben. Social media.
All right, here we go. KTVU reported that while the service did not feature any images of Knowles Carter, church musicians performed several of her songs. There were Bible readings from the book of Luke and Psalms, followed by some of the singer's hits such as Freedom and Flaws and All. A number of people who attended the Mass admitted that they don't normally go to church, but were attracted to the premise. Honestly, it was just an opportunity to hang out with my friends and hang out with Beyonce spiritually. It's just a cool time, said Oakland resident Lauren Alderidic, who's a fan of the singer. Harmon, who is the church's director of Innovative Ministries. Of 50 people, they have a separate director of Innovative Ministries?
Hasn't been working well up till now.
Oh, boy. Insisted earlier in April that the service was not just a cheap way to get people in the church.
No.
They had to advertise or something. How do 900 people know about it?
Yeah.
I'm from a church
Well,
of 50. It's
that's
like,
why
go-
you pay a minister of innovative ministries or whatever.
Let's see. It says, but Jesus. What do you mean, but? Is this a protest to something? Anyway, Jesus used very provocative images in the stories he would tell to incite people to ask hard questions about their own religious assumptions. He regularly provoked, we're following in the way of Jesus.
That's broad. That's a broad thing to
I don't have
say.
a problem like having some creative music and stuff. I mean, it's when they're changing the. I mean, I don't know, and I don't know what they're doing. The woman thing,
Yeah, I suppose you'd have to know.
Yeah.
I suppose you'd have to know.
but part of that, I think that's creative and fun. I mean,
I mean, there's nothing wrong with having biblical truths be explained through secular music or
It's like a
ideas
Mars Hill
brought
moment
up by
there.
somebody,
Yeah.
right? Paul was king of this, right? Like I can see you all are very religious, right? Like he could take a secular truism and then use it to expose truths of Christ. There's nothing wrong with that. That seems all right.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was thinking about that Mars Hill, like that speech to the Areopagus in relation to the guys that were upset about the Episcopal Church sermon or thing at the wedding. I'm sure they're upset. If I caught the gist of it, they're upset there wasn't enough Jesus talk and repentance. But if you think about Paul's sermon to the Areopagus, or his talk to the Areopagus, I mean, he didn't even mention the name Jesus. Like, it wasn't even in there. I mean, sure, the concept was there, definitely. But, like, I'm just saying, you got to be really careful, what is you're allowing to have someone light your hairs on fire, Make sure you run it through the system of, I don't know. He's trying something.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so far I'm not as offended by this as I thought I was going to be, Ben.
It says some Christian voices have criticized Knowles Carter's music performance in the past, such as at the February 2017 Grammy Awards, where she dressed as a Roman, Hindu, and African goddesses.
All at the same time? That's a heck of an outfit.
Yeah. I
let's go
mean,
to those quick change things.
I mean, they weren't real, so it's like Halloween.
I mean, I dressed as Richard Nixon when I went Halloween trick-or-treating when I was 15. It's not like I'm really Nixon.
A problem emerges the moment you change your deity. Charlie Self, a professor of the Assemblies of God Theological Seminary of Evangel University in Springfield, Missouri.
Holy cats, how big is your business card?
Charlie Self, Chuck Self, professor of at the Assemblies of God Theological Seminary of Evangel University in Springfield. Okay. He says, and the minute you change your deity, you change your morality. Now what you have is a set of activities focused on fertility, focused on the forces of nature. I mean, is she claiming to worship those gods? Because, I mean, yeah, that's problematic, definitely. But, like, if you wore costumes of those folks, I don't know that I particularly care. But what makes although, is that different than wearing, say, like a Satan mask?
I mean,
It's a false god.
I suppose. I mean, people will recognize that mask as Satan, but it's not like when Satan shows up, he's going to be wearing this devil face, with horns and
Yeah, right on.
red tail.
It says, now what makes today's paganism worse is that at least in ancient times they were for good crops and babies. Now we kill the babies and have replaced intimacy with God with personal and sexual pleasure. I mean, I'll be honest, that quote of his is all over the place.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I disagree with all of it in general, but, like, I mean, it's not really a focused thought.
Well, I mean, and I don't know exactly what scripture you're reading, but like all the gods of especially the Old Testament were primarily focused on fertility.
He says in ancient times they were for good crops and babies, like Baal sacrificing babies. So, I mean, I'm not sure what he's getting at, to be honest with you. Like, is he, because the implication of that last quote of his, which again, I'm not sure what it speaks to, is saying it might have been a false god, but at least it wanted good crops and children.
That's true. At least we worshiped crops.
I mean, that's
better.
That's not better. All right. And was that the end of the article?
Yeah, that's it.
That ended weirdly, actually.
That's
That was
all
kind
I
of
had
an
to
odd
say.
article.
Okay. Yeah, but that is certainly innovative. Kudos, master of innovative ministries.
I mean, I'd be real hesitant. Like that I have to. Here's the deal: once you start reading the Bible, and then you have to give a name to the way that you speak about it, I think that's problematic. So when you say it's womanist, like I would expect the lifting up of and right understanding of women as created in the image and likeness of God is a natural reading of the Scripture. As opposed to some sort of like twisted thing that you have to say, like we had to find a special lens of which to take it in.
Yeah.
Where are we at here? Johnny Moore says evangelical leaders criticize Trump behind closed doors. I'm sure.
I find that they should do it with open doors if you're going to do it. I mean, if you're going to criticize somebody, you just will do it to their face.
Yeah, okay. I agree. Dan?
Yeah, I think it happens.
Okay, yeah.
They criticize everybody.
Yeah, I mean, that's why people close doors, is to do that type of thing. 10 sure signs your youth pastor is about to get fired.
Ooh. Can we read that one?
All right.
Sounds awesome.
As a favor to you, Mike, we can read this one. I've met far too many youth leaders who have been fired. Some of them have been let go. I mean, well, okay. Others have been fired because they were doing God's work in God's way, and it created a ripple effect that not everyone liked. I even wrote a book called Firing Jesus that was inspired by the firing of a youth leader who was advancing the gospel, reaching those kids. The pastor didn't like it, and he lost his job as a result. Oh, boy. With all this as a backdrop, here are 10 sure signs you're about to get fired from your youth leader position. Number 1, you ticked off the church treasurer, who was the sister-in-law to the head elder, who was the brother to the pastor.
It's a funny man article.
Yeah,
He'd be a funny man.
Number 2, you used the pitch your tents clip on Youth Sunday during your sermon, and 2 days later you were invited to attend a special meeting with the elders. What is that? Did you do that, Dan?
You know what it is?
No.
Oh, okay. It's some youth pastor preaching somewhere. There's a little clip on YouTube where he's trying to say that whoever it was, Jacob pitched his tents, and he kept saying pinched his tits. And he couldn't stop. And then he got really embarrassed.
Oh, no.
It's hilarious. It's about a minute and a half. Yeah. I mean, it's because when you can see when he realizes what he said. It's like, no.
No. Jacob didn't do that.
Google it later.
I mean, he might have. I don't know. I wasn't there.
Hey, is it the Christian Post linked to it so you can go take a look at it? So there, it's in the article.
He corrects it like twice and he can't stop it. He can't say it right.
That's a bummer. The pastor refers to you as the next ex-youth pastor in staff meeting. Yeah, I'm sure that's rough.
That's good.
Number 4, a group of church leaders are chatting quietly in the foyer, but suddenly go silent and smile at you as you walk by. I don't know if that means you're getting fired. I mean, they could just be catty.
Could be discussing your raise.
Yeah.
They could be too far away from closed doors.
You left a kid behind on a mission trip, and you don't realize it until you come back home.
Yeah, okay. That's
You just committed to becoming a gospel-advancing youth leader, but you are in a purely attractional church.
Okay.
There was a burn in there somewhere at somebody. The super compassionate pastor's wife cries when she sees you and your family walking into church on Sunday morning and runs away screaming, why? The church sign reads, youth pastor needed, apply within.
That's funny.
The state superintendent of your denomination calls you and asks, are you okay? I heard the news. And number 10.
I don't get that one.
Obviously, he was aware of your firing before you were.
Oh, okay, right.
Number 10, a key tither's teen no longer goes to youth group because of the bad element that is now attending on Wednesday night. Raw new believers your other teenagers have reached.
Hey, I've actually had that come up before.
Well, that's rough.
Or if people have been upset, they're like, look, it's hard for my kids been going to church since they were babies, right? And then these kids showed up that didn't know Jesus at all, and these parents yelled at me and said, you guys are spending too much time on the basics of Christianity, and my kids aren't having any chance to grow. And I looked at them. I mean, I had to been 45 seconds of pure silence. What are you talking about? I don't even know how to engage in this conversation right now.
Yeah, that's rough. All right, that was it. It says sometimes it's a good thing to get fired, especially if you're attending a church that devalues evangelism. Evangelism? Yeah, right. Okay, sorry, it's not reading right.
Say that teats thing like Jacob.
And disciple multiplication. Other times God can use you to transform the culture, not only of the youth ministry, but the entire church. But either way, building a gospel-advancing ministry requires risk. And whether you lose your job or keep it, the risk is worth it. Precious young souls hang in the balance. He's overdone it with the exclamation points in here.
I would wonder, like, from a hiring perspective, Like, does it look really bad if you were fired from a church, like instantly? You always think, man, something had to have happened. Or were you like, I'm interested at the story, and if the guy's like, look, they just weren't furthering the gospel, you looked at with shaded lenses and go, I don't know, man, you totally got fired. Like, is that hard to take on another employee from a church that's been fired from other places? No, not that big of a deal.
I mean, it depends. Not for me. For others, it would be.
Yeah.
That'd be the kind of guy I want.
Give me the guy that's been canned elsewhere.
Because that means they're more of a church planning heart.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't want to play the game. Matter of fact, our first worship guy was fired.
From another church?
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so not that big of a deal then. So
No.
take the firing like a man.
As long as you figure out,
Find out why. I mean,
yeah. And
did
as
you
long
have
as
an
if
affair,
you were
or was it
fired
just
for
like they were stupid.
Yeah.
done.
You don't wear the suits we want you to wear. Suits either.
And good. All right, last one. Here we go. Anne Frank's lost diary entries are about more than dirty jokes. No, hold on. That one's out. Here we go. Should the church avoid politics? Mike.
No.
Dan. No. Done. Great. We finished.
Well, you're right. These are. Hey, there was one article on there about Jesus is not the only way for many Americans. That one looked like it might have been.
It's basically the same survey that we read every year, which is people are getting vaguely spiritual, but they're not willing to say, and they believe in Jesus, but they are not willing to say that he is the only way. Which is weird, because, like, why would you cling to this one? I feel like the Christian life is harder than necessary if that's the case. I would follow something that makes my life, that doesn't ask so much of me.
I feel like I've used this metaphor actually in youth group quite a bit, and like it applies to just about every situation where people say, yes, I believe in that chair. You ever sit in that chair? No, man. I don't think that can hold me. I'm not sure of its power. You should sit in a chair. No, man. I believe it's 100% there and real, though. I don't use it.
Yeah. What was it? We were talking about something about that. Oh, it was last night. I was reading Exodus 16, 17. It was where he provides the manna. And like, so God's like training his. They don't know how to be God's people, right? The big promise was, "I will be your God, and you'll be my people." He said that even before he brought them out of Egypt, and said, "This is what I'm ultimately after here." And so these people don't know how to do that, and so he brings them, and he purposely brings them to places where they're thirsty and there's no good water. He purposely brings them to places where there legit is no food, right? Like, these are legit problems because he actually intends to solve them, but he wants them to solve them by them coming to him and learning to trust him. And so, like, the provision of the manna thing, like, this chapter, like struck me hard for two reasons. The first one is because, like, God had set it up specifically where there was no way around this. You were just going to have trust him on a daily basis for the provision of this thing. It wasn't just a gift. It was something you couldn't hoard because it would get the worms and the stank on it if you kept it for an extra day. You couldn't take too much. Like, you had to take enough just for you and to cover your household. So people were super careful. They didn't take more than the omer or whatever. And like the whole thing was they were complaining that there was no food. And God's reaction was to say, I want you to have food, but I want you to have it from my hand. I want you to trust that I'm going to give it, and know that if you try to keep it for yourself and put it within your own power, it will go bad and you won't be able to use it. And so, like, and then it flips. What is it on Saturday where he gets a double portion, and like, you literally, there will be none on Sunday, and you can keep it overnight this time, and it's just fine. And so, like, the whole point though was that, like, our understanding, I think, especially for like a culture of what we can largely provide for ourselves, is that when we say, hey, we trust in God, like, that's not the same thing as like what they had to do to trust in God when the manna was being provided. And like, I get it that we're not picking manna from the ground every morning, but I feel like our definitions of trust should probably be a little bit closer than they are. I think sometimes our understanding of trusting, well, let me just change the narrative. Often my understanding of trust is like a vague, like, thought exercise. Do I believe that God would do X, Y, and Z? Yes, I believe that he would do that, and it is actually true that I do. I don't know that there are things in my life where I'm often actually turning things over and actually putting it fully into his hands to trust. And I don't mean like just like picking some kind of random thing and saying, I will trust the Lord with, cleaning the bed sheets and we'll see if they happen Tuesday. Like, that's not the point. I'm just saying, like, I'm not talking necessarily about specific instances. It's just more like, is the trajectory of my life one where that says, I trust that God will provide, and am I taking action all the time that otherwise reflects that trust? And I think the answer is no. But I think it comes from, I'm not actually quite sure how that looks. How that looks in, like, that's a real focused situation, focused example, the manna example, of which there's like a clear delineation. Ours is a little bit more ambiguous than that. So I'm not sure I know how to do that well, but I do feel like it's a growth point. Like, there's a part where probably my definition of trust and theirs in that situation are pretty far off. And there's probably some things I can be doing or thinking about differently to get them, for them to be closer. I just don't know. I'm not quite sure what they are, actually.
Well, I mean, how does that fit into the conversation we had last week, though, right? Is like, how do you know which things to trust God with because they were either there or a problem has arisen, and what things that you want that your God's like, yeah, just do it, just handle it, right? Like it's come your way, move on.
Yeah, that's my point of caution. That's where I said I don't know. I think it's probably not right to look at it as if we're in the exact same situation, right? Like, God was teaching them a very express lesson because, one, they didn't know what it was like to be God's people, to have to lean on Him. They're about to get to Mount Sinai where, like, this thing was going to blow up on them. There was going to be much more direction on being faithful and trusting God, even when the things that He says sound hard. And so, like, without any experience to see that God is faithful, even though they saw it in Egypt and they've been following a magic cloud, you feel like they'd be there. But, like, short of that, like, they still didn't have those basic provisions. God was laying a foundation for them to accept what He was about to give them. Now, the thing is that, like, we're already there because we have them as the example, right? Like, God has always He's provided this story so that we know that He can be trusted in these things. And then I have a Bible full, like, scripture full of things that says, act this way, react to people this way, love in this way, tell truth even when it's difficult in this way, share the good news and have mixed results, early church style, and trust that God has this under control, like, whatever the outcome is to that. And so, like, I think it's that. So, and I think it's the same, which is still you kind of go about your business and just be faithful in the means that God has given you, and trusting that, like, He can be trusted. And so, like, if he's not stepping in or doing something you want, it's not because He's not here, which is the accusation they level against Him in the next chapter of Exodus, is like, is God even among us? And, like, that's the one that makes God mad. He was pretty tolerant up to that point. But the point when they were dare say, is He not even here because we're not getting what we want, that's what was outlandish to God. And so I think it's reacting properly in saying, if I've been faithful in the means and I know God is faithful in His ends, whatever situation I'm in, if he's not doing anything the thing that I expect or whatever, like, it's not because He's not there, and it's not because He's not faithful. And so you just keep working your best through the situation that you're in. And so I think that's how it expresses itself. I feel like there's a little bit more abandon that to that, and trusting that He will control, say, people's reactions or, like, long term. I'm still plotting, all right. I'm still kind of protecting or hedging my bets, I think, in certain ways. I'm not quite certain exactly how that expresses itself, but I feel like there's a growth in there.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's the whole thing, right? That's the whole thing of following Jesus, is figuring out when God is interacting and what part He's moving and what part that it's yours to go and just move on with it and whatever. Like, isn't that the whole reason that you would pray without ceasing? You know what I'm saying? So you would help divine what exactly is going on here. You know?
Well, and that like, relative to that story, is the right reaction, right? It's to say, God, can you provide? Will you provide? And, like, turning to God for that provision, as opposed to, say, grumbling and proclaiming that God is not here. Like, you're going to bully Him to do the thing that you want. And I mean, and I think that's the difference. All right. Why was I talking about that?
I don't know. Something about Exodus.
Yeah, but why? Like, didn't that lead from somewhere?
I don't know.
I forget. It doesn't matter. I will get. Oh shoot! What do we got here? 10. We still got time for Secular Solomon?
You want to do that, or do you want to just do the advice?
Yeah, let's do the advice. I'll save Secular Solomon for next week.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
They're live from the path. I'm average fitness-wise and work in an office. My girlfriend, who is naturally athletic, has belonged to a gym for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Our two fitness paths collided when I was enjoying a coffee with her and her training partner, quotes Trixie, at her place one day. Trixie made a muscle. When I complimented her on her impressive arm definition, she responded I should see my girlfriend's. When my girlfriend flexed, her bicep popped up so high my eyes bulged. Trixie then prodded me to flex. I didn't want to, because I knew my muscle wasn't as developed. Trixie felt both our arms and declared mine softer. She then pushed us to arm wrestle. I'm 3 inches taller than my girlfriend, and I'm a man, so I thought I would win. Anyway, 2 times on the right and once on the left, I ended up with the back of my hand securely pinned down to the table to their extreme amusement. I felt embarrassed because there was nothing I could do to stop her stronger arms driving me down. The upshot is, I feel there has been a power shift in our relationship. My girlfriend will now teasingly flex when she wants something. She also enjoys challenging me in public. I have now been defeated in arm wrestling in front of her parents and a group of her cheering girlfriends. How should I adjust? Must I just accept her superior strength, tell her to tone down her showing off, or get myself stronger at the gym?
Stronger. I mean,
it depends. Do you like losing to a girl? Because if you do, continue on your way. If you don't, I would do some exercise. It's a weird story.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I have a problem with him getting beaten by his lady.
Well, I mean, the difference is like, would I do this? If I can beat my wife arm wrestling, would I purposely challenge her to arm wrestling in front of all my friends, beat on her with my arm wrestling win, and then go, ha?
No. Yeah, okay, so that is the difference. That would be an inappropriate use of your power, of which seems to be taking advantage of. I mean, there's a bit of I suppose there's a novelty to it. Is it like Ted's a wuss because he does office work? I train all the time.
It's cool that your lady's super healthy and got buff arms. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
I would be somewhat remiss to say I'm surprised you did not notice until your girlfriend's friend said, "Hey, flex that muscle," whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like if she had to point it out to you, you didn't notice that your lady friend getting all buff or whatever. You suck as a boyfriend.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't you notice that when she picked up a pot or was driving the steering wheel? You're like, good night, there's some pipes. Way to go. I mean, she carried in the dog food, and you're like, wow. Maybe you deserve to get beat like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could just do what you want to do here. Like, if you want stronger arms, if you feel like that's important to you, go ahead and do that. I mean, that seems all right. I think that there's no reason to tell her to back off. There doesn't seem any positive benefit to your relationship to be emasculating you in front of people, like especially close family and friends. I mean, that just doesn't seem necessary.
There's other ways to celebrate your fitness besides beating up on your office hubby or boyfriend, man.
Yeah.
Especially if he makes big money. You know what I'm saying? You haven't even married this guy yet. You're going to embarrass him in front of everybody? Like, he makes good money at that office.
I mean, maybe he doesn't.
Maybe he makes
I know people
money.
who do office work don't make good money.
Yeah. I think you're right. It's pretty straightforward. If you like getting beat by your lady friend, then don't worry about the gym thing. If it bothers you, then you should probably win.
Yeah. I would have the discussion and say, hey, look, man, here's the deal. There's no way to have this conversation without sounding like a real wuss. But like, hey, you stop arm wrestling me in front of people. I mean, in general, like, regardless of what you think it makes you look like, there really isn't a purpose to it. Unless you also think it's good-natured, and then don't complain about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's challenge her to a hot dog eating contest where you would win.
I mean, this seems pretty poor, Mike. Like, you have to keep challenging your girlfriend to things until you can win something.
Yeah. I mean, see who can drive fast in reverse. I don't know. Come up with something you good at, fool. All right, Secular says, a wise person asks his or her physician before starting a diet and/or exercise program.
That's lame. I mean, I understand.
Yeah. Then, if you get the go-ahead, go to the gym and gradually begin a regular exercise program. While you're at it, ask a trainer to help you get started with the weights, machines, so you can learn the proper form and build yourself up rather than tear yourself down. If you do, it will not only increase your strength, but benefit you in other ways. Boy, this is the most generic advertisement for a gym membership I've ever heard. Someone here to help me with the weights and machines. In closing, she says, and by the way, your girlfriend must be very immature to deliberately emasculate you in front of her friends and family. By all means, tell her to knock off showing off at your expense because it's demeaning. Yeah, that's the kind of advice you get from a woman, doofus. Go pump up your arms.
I mean, I certainly wouldn't go to the gym and say, look, hey, is there a personal trainer here to show me how to use the machines? I keep losing to my girlfriend in an arm wrestling contest.
Yeah. Can you help me with that? Here's the thing. I don't know one man that asks for advice on the weights and machines, right? You just show up and act like you had a plan to start with. You had a 65-pound bell? That's me.
Act like you're stretching out while you're reading the directions.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was scared to death to go to the gym. Like, we had a gym membership, and I didn't want to go because I didn't want to look like a doofus trying to use the machine wrong or have people walk by me and be like, that guy's only got one plate on there. What an idiot. And so I started going early when no one was there, so then no one would make fun of me until I got it figured out. That's how a man does it.
Yeah, ninja, until you're ready to show the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dear
Next.
Life from the Path. I'm wondering how to deal with friends who want to take advantage of my big box store memberships. Classic. I don't mind helping out sometimes, but it seems like they are avoiding the cost of membership while time and expense. Yes, that is exactly what they're doing. They either ask if I mind picking up a particular item for them, or if I will take them so they can shop for themselves. That means spending half a day while they scrutinize every aisle and every item. Some of these friends are well off financially, so it isn't that they can't afford the membership. Am I wrong to feel imposed upon? No. No, you're not at all. And frankly, those people are well off because they make smart decisions like use your membership all the time and not buy one for themselves.
Well, if you upgrade your membership and all the stuff they buy goes toward credit toward your membership, they will pay for the membership, gaining too.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, you're just not doing this right.
Yeah, I agree. I don't, I don't understand. It doesn't seem like a big deal.
All right. Secular's advice. You are only as imposed upon as you allow yourself to be.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's the best advice she's given out in years.
Yeah.
If it isn't convenient to take these people shopping, no law says you have to. If you want to make sure a user never asks again, all you have to do is say, great, and afterward, you can take me out to lunch/dinner. Yeah, I don't know about that last part. I don't know why you was got to do that. You always got to come up with some kind of snappy retort that turns out not to be snappy at all. Hey, here's a point of fact. Ha.
Yeah.
Okay, last one.
Last one.
Dear Life from the Path. I belong to a family that doesn't respond to RSVPs for weddings or wedding showers. They often arrive late, leave weddings early, and sometimes don't stay to eat at the reception, even when it has been catered at a cost of $100 a person. My adult children always ask me to call my siblings to check whether they are coming or not, so some of their friends can be included if the family isn't coming. I just spoke with my brother about an upcoming wedding, and he informed me that he and his family may decide to extend their camping trip and miss it, even though they had RSVP'd with their meal selections. My wife was raised to observe the rules of etiquette, something she has passed on to our 4 children, but my family never received that kind of instructions. I love my siblings and their families, and feel privileged whenever we get together to celebrate a wedding or special event. How can I improve the situation without hurting feelings and creating turmoil? Okay, I handle this one, fellas. Here's what you can do. You can take your benchmark for living a sweet life off of your house and let it apply to everyone else as they see fit. Yeah. You can no longer look from your front yard and go, you know who's got this figured out? Me and my place.
And my wife and how she was raised.
Yeah. You know who sucks at it? Everybody who ain't me. Because inherently they are not me. Yeah, that's a big mistake, friend. They're going to show. What do you care anyway? People calling you. Is your brother coming? I don't know, man. Call him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not the switchboard for everybody. You got a question for Ray, call Ray. I can't speak on his behalf.
I use the phrase, I don't work for you, quite a bit, actually,
Yeah.
about things like that. Hey, have you blah, blah, blah. Have you heard from so-and-so? Are they blah, blah, blah? I'm like, I don't know. I don't work for you.
Yeah.
Or I don't work for him. You go ahead and check it out.
I really want to talk to him. Well, I mean, they got the same phone privileges I got. You know what I'm saying? Give them a call. If they pick it up, then you scored. Yeah. That's our advice. I think you should probably not continue to play advocate for better ethics for the rest of your family. They can speak on their side. You know what? We had this I've had this conversation multiple times the last 6 months about God and his giving out free choice to people and how he has given the gift of choice, which means that you don't get to take it away. Everyone gets the choice to be however they want. Now you can advise them and you can try to show them cost and or pros and cons to some of their decisions and mainly on how they live their life and what you think might happen based on your opinion. But at the end of the day, it's their choice and you can't wear it. You also can't wear the consequences of their choices, which is that they're the talk about town because they won't show up at weddings on time. What a niche thing to be mad at a guy about, you know? He's a serial late wedding attender. Oh, man. If they put that on my gravestone, what a petty and small world this has turned out to be. He was generous in all aspects, but he shows up late to weddings.
I kind of wondered what it looked like if they said that they leave early, too. Like, that's really awkward.
Yeah,
you just get bored and walk out?
Can that actually be true? You sat through 45 minutes of boredom and long services and like 3 candles being lit, and you don't stick around for free eats? That sounds like an unreasonable man. That's the whole point. You show up for the free drinks and the free eats at the reception. That's why I go to weddings.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the story you're telling don't make no sense.
I mean, and here's the deal. Maybe that is how they behave. In which case, they're unpredictable. I mean, there's no making sense of this person. So I think I would give up trying.
Or they got a sweet life, right? Can you imagine that you had something better to do than hang around and get free food and drink? You know what I'm saying? Like, you had actually cooler things going at the time. I mean, you're living a better life than me. I wish I had better stuff to do, but I don't. The top of my list is free eats at your wedding. That's it. But these people are living life to the fullest, and they got grand schemes going. So they showed up to no benefit of their own, to only celebrate you and your wedding day, and then leave before the free food shows up. Those are altruistic wedding guests, friend, and you should appreciate them for who they are.
Okay, right on. Is that it? What was the secular advice?
And another thing, secular says, I'll resist the urge to suggest that you buy your relatives a book on etiquette. Start by explaining the rules to your siblings in a non-confrontational way. For instance, after you send an invitation, call and verify that the recipients plan to attend. If the answer is maybe, tell them the meals cost $100 a plate, which is why it's important to have an accurate head count. Because they don't know any better, I suppose it's your responsibility to explain the rules of common courtesy to your family each time you invite them to join you for anything. And when your brother told you that he and his family might extend their camping trip, I hope you responded that you would be taking them off the guest list and hope they'll have a great time. Yeah, that's true. When other people are doing things you don't appreciate, it's best to be petty and small.
Well, I don't know, Mike. Doesn't that go back to what you were saying? Like, it's just a fact. Hey, look, man, if we don't know that you're going to come, there's other people that want to go, so we'll give your spot to them. Come to the reception.
Yeah, okay, but that is harder to take in when you're on your high horse and explaining the common courtesy rules to your family every time you advise them.
I wouldn't do that. I would, yeah. I just say, hey, let's just be confident in the things that you're doing. If you say, look, I'm not going to hold open a spot because you can decide whether you want to roast weenies for another night or come to my wedding. So, like, if it doesn't matter to you either way, you're free to come to the reception. But you're out of the wedding. Although I guess they're talking about $100 a plate, right? Does everyone at the reception get the meal?
Yeah, at the reception.
Yeah, I mean,
$100.
I think you would say, look, if they said, look, maybe we'll attend. It's like, well, tell me by tomorrow, because I'm gonna take you off the meal list. If you guys are still more than welcome to come, but I'd stop at the LJ's on the way in because you ain't eating here.
Yeah. There'll be mince and dancing, and that's it.
Yeah,
That's fine. That seems legit. And then they're just making choices.
see, that's the thing. That's the whole thing we're talking about is not being emotionally invested in people's poor decisions. If they choose to do something, then you say, here's the fact, or here's the reaction or consequence that's going to happen. I still love you, but this is the deal. If you're going to extend your camping trip, I hope you have a great time. I'm just taking you off the meal thing. And they'll say, well, what if we change our mind and show up? Well, there won't be a meal for you. So you're probably going to have to eat the Olive Garden on the way in.
Or poison the Jones family and take their chicken.
Yeah, maybe hope someone else turned out sick. But if I find you going through the line, I'm going to take the food away.
Yeah, I'm going to embarrass you in front of everybody.
Yeah, say you did an RSVP.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
All right, you've been listening live from the path. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you were here for Secular versus Solomon, I very much apologize. That just isn't on the docket for tonight.
We got to have at least 3 people for Secular Solomon.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
We'll have someone in next week.
Okay, we'll try to drag somebody in here.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, yeah, I got distracted on those quick articles. Maybe I'll do that next time I can't find an article. I'll just read them through. We'll see what strikes the fancy.
Okay.
And we can go from there. All right, in the meantime, be faithful in the means. God will handle the ends. You've been listening to Live from the Path.